Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the almighty 4-bore mod, which is being made by user D. Magnus. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is an absolutely gigantic rifle in the form of the 4-bore, and this thing is pretty wonderful, as not only is it a fun new weapon to have in the game with a ton of oomph behind it, but I mean, it's just super powerful, and that's great, and I've really found myself enjoying this old-timey 4-bore weapon here in Fallout. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what exactly we are getting with the 4-bore rifle, which in its most basic and standard form will do 90 damage with a 4-bore round with a firing rate of 2, range of 119, accuracy of 74, and a very hefty weight of 22.8, which makes sense considering, again, this is meant to be a very large, chunky rifle, so yeah, very, very heavy. And as you can see, it's not looking its best when you first find it in the world because, well, it's old and rusted. But thankfully, through various modifications, you can actually get this thing all nice and refurbished and looking pretty darn good and doing a whole heck of a lot more damage. Like I said, at its most basic form, it'll do 90 when you first find this thing without any other additional perks, but almost immediately it jumps up to 120 once you refurbish the barrel, which, you know, not too bad in the slightest. Now, speaking of the various modifications for this thing, we've got a great selection in here. Tons of aesthetic options as well as usable options that change up your stats, and my personal favorite, a whole load of different kinds of rounds that you can pop into this thing, which is always great. It always feels very Fallout to me when you can do stuff like Dragon's Breath or explosive rounds. That's just fun. And even though it is hard to tell on this particular corroded version, the gun also just looks great. I mean, you guys know me. I love the combination of metal and wood, and there are, again, hard to see on the corroded version here, but loads of intricate details all over the rifle up here, which we'll take a little bit closer of a look at once I grab my other modified versions that are much cleaner. But yeah, it is a beautiful gun that is just a whole heck of a lot of fun to play with. Super slow firing rate, but, you know, good times. Plus, we'll talk about it in a moment, there's an interesting strength mechanic with this thing that I very much have had fun with. But as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely weapons, well, it's pretty darn simple. First and foremost, you will have to find this singular corroded version in the world. Now, you'll find it over at the Boylston Club, over by the pool table, locked away in a case. And once you have that particular corroded version in hand, you'll now be able to unlock the ability to head to any chemistry station in the world, head on down to utility, where you can make a new non-corroded 4-bore rifle here, so long as you got gun nut rank 4, rifleman rank 1, and some adhesive, aluminum, gears, oils, screws, springs, steel, and wood. And even more importantly, you can make more of this 4-bore ammo. Now, also, just as an extra aside, while you're in the Boylston Club, in this Boylston Club safe, they will have a little bit of 4-bore ammo on hand for you to use. But, yeah, otherwise, just make it yourself over there. Good times indeed. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab these two. As you guys know, this sometimes when you add in, say, a rail, on occasion, it doesn't always load the mod category, so I'll go ahead and make one of these two my active gun for taking a look at the various modifications we do have, starting of course with the receiver category, where we've got pretty typical stuff in here. I mean, it starts with the corroded, and then you go to that restored receiver. But then on top of that, we've got the typical light, heavy, hardened, powerful, on up to advanced, which is really gonna bump up the damage on this thing quite a bit. Now then, we have the various barrel lengths on this, a 16-21, which is the standard, and a 42-inch barrel, which is very, very useful for reducing the recoil, because this gun does have a whole lot of recoil. Again, working with that strength mechanic I mentioned earlier, again, we'll talk about in a moment. We then, after that, have our stock in here, where we've got either the weathered, refurbished, and a variety of different full stocks with cheek rest and recoil pads. Very nice to see. Now, I'm going to skip a little bit down real quick, because we do have the just normal sight category, which I'm suddenly missing. Am I blind? I think it's because we have the reflex sight selected. If we go back over to just the 4-bore standard rifle here, we have the sights category here, which is where you can have just the normal iron sights or a glow sight. But if you switch it up to the Picatinny rail, you will then have a whole slew of new options, thus the reflex sight at the moment, along with a short, medium, and long scope, and night vision versions and recon versions as well of those various things, which is pretty cool. And if you do go with the reflex, we also do get the option of the reticule style here, which is always nice to see. A just nice little fun addition. Now, after that, we have the different muzzle attachments of either nothing, a rusty muzzle brake, or compensator. So, I mean, let's be honest, basically 3 of the same thing, but each one has slightly different stats here. Now, then after that, we have a variety of different aesthetic options. So first we have the muzzle aesthetic, where we can have the hardened finish, clean metal, dark finish, gold, and nickel up there for the compensator. We then also do have our stock, where we can have it in a variety of different woods or even ivory. Very nice to see. We then have the finish on the gun, which is the main metal bits up here. Everything from the case hardened finish to gold and nickel. Again, very cool. We also do have I'm going to go to the foregrip category just to stick with the aesthetic things for now. So you have the stock back here, and then we have a different aesthetics for the foregrip. Again, a variety of woods and ivory. Now, heading back real quick, we do have an attachment category where you can actually zip tie. Literally, that's what you're doing. You're zip tying a flashlight or a laser sight onto the gun, which I just find hilarious and very post-apocalyptic-y and funny. It's literally just zip tying a flashlight on there. Oh, and then, oh hey, the rail actually returned. Did I just miss that earlier? I probably did. And then finally, we have our round category, where it starts with the standard round top bullet, when we can also get a lead shot, incendiary, full metal jacket, flat top, explosive, dragon's breath, depleted uranium, and a brass solid. The two most, I guess 3 most damaging would be the explosive, depleted uranium, and brass solid. All 3 are very good and will do a lot of damage against your enemy. And with most of these rounds, you'll also get some penetration from cover. So even the enemy hiding behind a barrel is not going to save their life, which is great. That's just fun. So let's take a look at this thing in action, starting with, of course, our most standard version here, the still corroded one, and talk briefly about that strength mechanic. Now, this is a very big gun with a very big boom and a whole lot of kick. And yeah, the less strong you are, the harder it will be for you to use this gun. And there's actually a point where it is impossible for you to use this gun. If you have a strength of 2 or less, which, my god, how does your character make it through life? When you shoot the gun, it'll actually blow out of your hands, knock you over, and cripple your arms. If you have a little bit of strength, this particular character has a strength of 4, it's going to just knock us around. As you can see, basically the whole screen shakes. Even though we don't actually get hurt, we do have that sort of hurt sound. Screen goes blurry and just everywhere. Now, even if you are low strength, even at strength 2, the power armor will actually mitigate the kickback and damage, so that actually will save you, which makes sense. It is power armor, so of course it's going to help you be stronger. But the more strength you have, the less this particular effect is going to give you. So let's actually go into here, and let's just pump up our strength all the way. There we go. And I'll probably have to put the gun away real quick. Sometimes that has to happen before it resets properly. And now fire. And there you go. Just a light little bit of recoil because we're now super strong. So that's just the difference between 4 and now full strength. So the lower the strength of your character is, the more it's going to affect the kick. It can potentially damage you and just cause all sorts of hell. And that's fun. I like it. Now let's take a look at my 2 modified versions here. We've got a very short-barreled but explosive one here, which I went super gaudy with gold and ivory. Oh, there we go. It wasn't firing for a brief moment there. That was interesting. But of course, with the explosive rounds, we are actually activating all 3 targets, which is great. I mean, come on, who doesn't love an explosive round? And then this one, I think I just went with the, yeah, just the brass one, just to get a high damage and turning it into a basic sniper rifle effectively. Which, scope. There we are. And with the compensator on there and that gigantic 40-some-odd inch barrel, this thing has barely any kick whatsoever, which really does help you keep on target when you are sniping at your enemies there, which is great. And I did want to point out, too, that like I said earlier, with the more cleaned up models, just all the extra detail you can see on these, it is really great. You've got all sorts of little typing bits, all sorts of little, just lovely little flowery patterns and such. Very, very good looking, very beautiful gun. Hard to tell in the corroded version, but yeah, once you clean this baby up, and especially with some of the other metals, it really does show it off pretty darn well. And I very much do like it. It is a gorgeous gun. Ah, look at all the little patterns on it. A little bit of beauty for just such a beast of a weapon. So let's get out ourselves a Deathclaw as per usual and see how that pans out for us today. I'm imagining it going pretty easily considering my 2 versions I have here, the explosive one dealing 347 damage and the non-explosive 302. So, it'd help if I hit. Boom! Oh, almost a single shot. Got him. All right, well, let's go to the explosive one. There we are. Grab another friend to play with. And boom! Not as much damage on that one, but I did hit a slightly less vulnerable spot. But yeah, that second one did him in. It's just magnificent. But yes, that is the almighty 4-bore. It is great seeing this antiquated gun being added into the game. I mean, this was a real caliber of weapon back in the day. But then, you know, better bullets became a thing, basically. So gigantic guns like this kind of fell out of favor. Well, that is until anti-material rifles started to become a thing. But yes, it's just a fun weapon with a ton of great kick. Slow to, you know, reload. But I love the combination of the just glorious thud of the gun, the requirements for strength, and even that the strength without that strength that it can mess you up is pretty freaking hilarious. So if you'd like to see a more in-depth review of this particular, or well, no, I did this last week too. I said the outro for the short during the full review. But no, if you'd like to take a look at this gun for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you know, look at the link in the description of the video here, as per usual. Well, that, my friends, is going to be it for this one today. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and you do come back for whatever mod it is we look at next. But until that time, thank you for watching, as always. Well, have a good one.